When you think of Drake, you think of chart-topping hits, sold-out arenas, and a career seemingly untouchable. But what happens when the unstoppable force meets an immovable object? That's exactly what's unfolding right now as Drake finds himself on the losing end of a high-profile lawsuit with Universal Music Group over his latest track, Not Like Us. Sources confirm that the court's ruling has hit Drake hard, and the financial repercussions could be severe. The song, which fans immediately loved for its hard-hitting lyrics and signature Drake vibe, is now at the center of a legal storm that threatens not only the single but potentially his entire catalog under scrutiny. But this isn't just about money, it's about reputation. Drake has built his brand on being untouchable, a mogul who moves seamlessly between music, fashion, and culture. A public legal defeat like this could shake the foundation of that image. So, what does Drake do now? Is there a way to fight back, appeal the ruling, or even turn this controversy into a career-defining move? Today, we'll break down every angle of this lawsuit, explore the possible outcomes, and analyze the strategies Drake might use to recover from this unprecedented challenge. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just the legal battle, but the high-stakes chess game that Drake is playing, and whether he can still come out on top. Drake's career has been nothing short of legendary. From his early days on Degrassi, the next generation to becoming one of the biggest names in global music, he's dominated charts, shattered records, and set trends in hip-hop and R&B. But even the most untouchable stars have their battles. And for Drake, the latest one comes in the form of a lawsuit that could leave a permanent mark on his legacy. The track at the center of this storm is Not Like Us, a song that fans immediately hailed as classic Drake. The beat, the flow, the unapologetic lyrics, it had all the ingredients of a hit. But behind the scenes, the song's release triggered legal alarm bells at Universal Music Group, Drake's longtime label and distribution partner. The lawsuit alleges copyright infringement, claiming that elements of Not Like Us closely mirror previous works owned by UMG or affiliated artists. While the specifics of the claim are technical, involving melody structure, production credits, and licensing rights, the implications are clear. Drake could face not just financial penalties, but also restrictions on the song's distribution. What makes this case particularly damaging is the sheer visibility of it. Drake isn't just any artist, he's a cultural icon. When news broke that he was crushed in court, social media erupted. Fans, critics, and even other artists weighed in. Some defended Drake, insisting it's a common occurrence in the music industry where influence and inspiration often blur the lines. Others saw it as a cautionary tale. Even the biggest stars aren't immune to the complexities of copyright law. So how did it get to this point? From what sources close to the case reveal, negotiations between Drake's team and UMG broke down months before the lawsuit even hit the courts. There were attempts to resolve the matter behind closed doors, possibly through licensing agreements or settlements. But when both sides failed to agree, it escalated into a full-blown legal confrontation. One of the factors complicating matters is Drake's own history with sampling and collaborations. Over the years, he's been involved in numerous disputes over song credits, sometimes settling quietly, other times taking public battles to court. Not Like Us seemed like another addition to this pattern, but the court's ruling has apparently gone against him in a way that many experts describe as significant and precedent-setting. This isn't just a minor loss. It could affect future releases, influence contracts, and even impact his negotiating power within the industry. But there's more to consider. Drake's legal troubles don't exist in a vacuum. The music business is notorious for its intricate contracts, intellectual property disputes, and the blurred line between inspiration and infringement. In Drake's case, UMG's argument reportedly hinges on production similarities that, while subtle, are deemed substantial enough to constitute a breach. Legal analysts point out that this is a gray area, where a minor melody, beat pattern, or even phrasing can become the focal point of a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Financially, the stakes are huge. UMG is seeking damages that could reach tens of millions, alongside royalties from Not Like Us that would otherwise go directly to Drake. For an artist whose empire spans music, clothing, and lifestyle brands, this isn't just a song, it's a financial ripple with potential long-term effects. Yet the story isn't over. Drake's legal team has already signaled an intention to appeal, citing technical errors in how the court evaluated certain aspects of the song's production. Appeals are notoriously complex and can take months, sometimes years, to resolve. During this period, the song may face restrictions, streaming numbers could be affected, and fan perception could shift. Every move Drake makes will be under scrutiny, not just from the courts, but from the public, his fan base, and other artists who see this as a cautionary example. And then there's the reputational aspect. Drake's public image has always been carefully managed. He's seen as savvy, untouchable, and nearly flawless in his career decisions. A legal loss like this challenges that perception. It introduces a narrative of vulnerability, one that could influence future collaborations, brand deals, and even chart performance. Reputation in the music industry is currency, and right now, Drake is facing a significant reputational hit. So what does this mean for fans and the industry at large? Some see it as a wake-up call for artists, even those at the top. The message is clear: no one is above the law when it comes to intellectual property. Others view it as part of the natural ebb and flow of the music business, where disputes are inevitable and sometimes serve as catalysts for innovation, negotiation, and adaptation. In the next part, we'll dig deeper into Drake's possible responses, examining what strategies his team could employ to turn this legal setback into a potential comeback. From appeals to renegotiations with UMG and even public relations maneuvers, there are several paths he could take, but each comes with risks and potential rewards. For now, one thing is certain: this lawsuit is more than just a headline. It's a defining moment in Drake's career, a test of his resilience, and a story that will be watched closely by artists, fans, and industry insiders alike. As the dust settles from the court's ruling against Drake in the Not Like Us lawsuit, all eyes are now on how he responds. A loss in court can feel like a career earthquake, but in the music industry, the next moves are just as critical as the ruling itself. So what options does Drake actually have, and can he turn this setback into an opportunity? First and foremost, the appeal process is likely. Drake's legal team has already indicated that they see weaknesses in how the court evaluated the song's composition and production. Appeals in intellectual property cases aren't simple. They involve a meticulous review of the original ruling, examination of technical aspects like beat structure, melody similarities, and licensing claims, and a strong argument for why the initial decision may have misinterpreted the law. The timeline for an appeal can stretch over months, sometimes years, which gives Drake both time to strategize and a period of uncertainty that could impact his current projects. Another key strategy could involve negotiation with UMG. While the public narrative focuses on the court loss, many disputes of this nature are resolved through private settlements. Drake could negotiate a licensing agreement, which would allow him to retain rights to the song in exchange for royalties or other compensation. This route could protect his relationship with UMG, a label he has worked closely with for years, while minimizing further financial damage. For a global superstar like Drake, maintaining industry alliances is crucial, and a settlement might be the most pragmatic choice. But beyond the legal tactics, there's the question of reputation management. Drake's brand is one of invincibility. Fans expect him to rise above challenges, and how he handles this lawsuit could define public perception for months or even years. A carefully crafted public statement, combined with strategic media appearances, could frame this setback as a temporary hurdle, rather than a permanent loss. In the past, Drake has used storytelling and media control to his advantage, turning controversies into opportunities for engagement with fans. Could he do the same here? It's certainly possible, but it requires precision and timing. Financially, Drake will need to prepare for potential penalties or royalties that may have to be paid. Even with an appeal, there's always a risk of partial enforcement of the court's ruling, which could affect earnings from Not Like Us. Some industry insiders speculate that the payout could reach millions. But Drake's empire is vast enough to absorb the impact. Yet, it's a stark reminder that even the biggest stars are vulnerable when it comes to intellectual property. There's also a broader industry lesson embedded in this case. Many artists operate under the assumption that inspiration and influence are safe zones, but the legal system often draws very fine lines. Sampling, reusing melodies, or even unintentional similarities can result in lawsuits with major financial and reputational consequences. Drake's case will likely serve as a cautionary tale for other artists, especially those working with high-profile labels and producers. From a creative standpoint, Drake now faces a dilemma: how to continue producing music without risking similar legal battles. His team may start implementing more stringent vetting processes for beats, lyrics, and production elements. Collaborators might be scrutinized more carefully, and legal review could become a routine part of his creative process. While this may seem restrictive, it also demonstrates the evolving nature of the music business, where creativity and legal compliance must coexist. One potential silver lining for Drake is the publicity itself. Controversy can sometimes fuel interest, and Not Like Us may gain additional streams and attention simply because it's now at the center of a legal storm. Fans often rally behind artists in legal battles, and social media could play a pivotal role in shaping public opinion. Drake's team might leverage this narrative, positioning him as a victim of overreach by the industry or as a misunderstood creative genius whose work challenges boundaries. It's also worth considering collaborations and support from fellow artists. Drake has a vast network within the music industry, and allies could step in to offer public support or even collaborate on tracks that subtly reference the situation. Music, after all, has always been a medium for storytelling, and Drake is no stranger to turning personal and professional challenges into creative expression. This lawsuit could inspire new music that addresses the legal battle indirectly, keeping fans engaged while reshaping the narrative. Long-term, this lawsuit could impact contracts, both current and future. Labels and collaborators may now approach deals with extra caution, seeking to protect themselves against similar claims. Drake's legal team will need to ensure that future releases are airtight in terms of rights and credits to prevent another high-profile dispute. While this might seem restrictive, it also strengthens his business acumen, forcing a higher level of diligence that benefits his career in the long run. Ultimately, the question remains, can Drake recover fully? The answer is likely yes, but it will require a multifaceted approach. Legal appeals, negotiation, strategic PR, creative output, and careful contract management all play a role. History shows that Drake has bounced back from challenges before, using both his talent and business savvy to maintain his status at the top of the industry. The key will be how he balances transparency with strategy, ensuring that fans stay loyal while industry insiders respect his professional resilience. In the final part, we'll explore what the ultimate outcomes could be, both best-case and worst-case scenarios. We'll examine how this lawsuit could reshape Drake's career trajectory, influence his music, and impact the industry as a whole. From financial consequences to cultural influence, the resolution of this case will be studied for years to come, and Drake's next moves will be critical in defining his legacy. As Drake's legal battle over Not Like Us reaches a critical point, the big question remains, what's next? After a ruling that seemingly crushed him, the path forward involves strategy, patience, and calculated risks. While the first two parts explored the lawsuit's background and potential strategies, this section dives into the possible outcomes and what they could mean for Drake's career, finances, and reputation. Let's start with the best-case scenario. Even though the initial ruling went against him, Drake could potentially reverse or mitigate the verdict through an appeal. Appeals can be successful if legal missteps were made during the trial, or if the court misinterpreted the technical aspects of the music involved. If his legal team successfully argues that the similarities cited by UMG are minor or coincidental, Drake could reclaim full rights to Not Like Us and avoid major financial penalties. Another best-case scenario involves a settlement with UMG. While it may include paying royalties or agreeing to certain licensing terms, a settlement would allow Drake to continue distributing the song without further legal obstacles. Importantly, it could preserve his relationship with UMG, a label that has been central to his rise and global success. A strategic settlement could also allow Drake to spin the narrative positively, framing it as him taking accountability while continuing to innovate in music. However, there are risks and worst-case scenarios to consider. If an appeal fails and no settlement is reached, Drake could face significant financial penalties. UMG may demand back royalties, damages, and possibly a share of profits from the song. Beyond the monetary loss, there's the potential impact on streaming and radio play. Platforms may restrict or remove the track while legal matters remain unresolved. This could diminish its cultural impact and chart performance, directly affecting Drake's influence in the industry. The reputational implications cannot be overlooked. Drake has cultivated an image of invincibility, and a public loss in court challenges that perception. Fans may question his decision-making or artistic integrity, while critics could use the lawsuit as evidence that even superstars are not immune to legal and creative scrutiny. However, this also presents an opportunity. Drake has a proven ability to turn controversy into narrative power. How he frames the situation in public statements, interviews, or even music releases could reshape the story in his favor. Speaking of music, creative output is likely to play a key role in how Drake navigates this challenge. Historically, he has transformed personal struggles into chart-topping hits. From disputes with fellow artists to highly publicized personal events, Drake has consistently used his music as a platform to address adversity. It's reasonable to expect that this lawsuit could inspire new material, songs that reflect his resilience, determination, and perspective on the industry's legal and creative complexities. These tracks could not only engage fans but also reinforce his reputation as a dominant force in music. There's also a broader lesson for the industry. Drake's case highlights the importance of legal diligence in creative work. Producers, collaborators, and artists are reminded that even subtle similarities in composition, lyrics, or beats can spark high-stakes lawsuits. Moving forward, Drake's team will likely implement stricter vetting procedures for music releases, ensuring that every element is legally sound before hitting the market. While this may seem restrictive, it reinforces a professional standard that benefits the artist's long-term career. Financially, while potential penalties are concerning, Drake's empire is resilient. Beyond music, he has investments in fashion, partnerships with brands, and ventures in lifestyle products. Even in a worst-case scenario where Not Like Us faces restrictions or heavy royalties, Drake's diversified portfolio means the impact can be managed. That said, high-profile lawsuits do influence investor perception, brand partnerships, and future contract negotiations, so careful financial planning will be crucial. Public perception will likely hinge on how Drake communicates during this period. A silent approach risks letting speculation dominate the conversation, while an overly aggressive stance could alienate fans or industry peers. Strategic messaging, possibly via social media, interviews, or press releases, will be essential in maintaining trust and credibility. Drake has historically been adept at controlling his narrative, and this will be a test of his ability to do so under pressure. Looking further ahead, the resolution of this lawsuit could influence the music industry at large. Other artists may take note of the case, prompting more careful attention to sampling, licensing, and copyright law. Labels might tighten contracts and legal oversight, changing the creative landscape for everyone. Drake's experience could ultimately lead to industry-wide reforms, or serve as a cautionary tale about the fine balance between inspiration and intellectual property infringement. In conclusion, Drake's legal challenge over Not Like Us is more than a lawsuit. It's a defining moment in his career. While the initial court ruling was a blow, there are multiple paths forward: appeals, settlements, creative workarounds, and strategic PR campaigns. Each choice comes with risks and opportunities, and how Drake navigates them will shape not only his legacy, but potentially the music industry itself. One thing is clear: Drake is at a crossroads. The outcome of this lawsuit will test his resilience, creativity, and business acumen. Fans, industry experts, and fellow artists will be watching closely, eager to see whether Drake can turn this challenge into another triumph. And if history is any indicator, he has the tools, experience, and influence to do exactly that. The story isn't over, it's evolving. And for Drake, every decision in the coming months will carry weight, influence public perception, and ultimately determine how this legal battle is remembered. Will it be a setback or a setup for one of the most remarkable comebacks in music history? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: Drake's response will define this chapter of his career forever. If you thought this lawsuit was shocking, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest updates on Drake and the music industry. Comment below and let us know what you think. Do you believe Drake can turn this around, or is this the beginning of a new chapter in his legal battles? And don't go anywhere. Click the notification bell so you're the first to know when we break down Drake's next moves, exclusive behind-the-scenes insights, and the biggest stories from your favorite artists. Trust us, you won't want to miss what happens next.